Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to On Stage at A.C.T, where we are continuing our series called The Corona Diaries, where we catch up with the directors and production staff of A.C.T Studio Theater. Today, we are lucky enough to have with us remotely Heidi Condon, who has taken some time out as she prepares to go on vacation to talk about her new show and what's been going on in her life. Hi, Heidi. I haven't seen you in forever.
Hi, Stuart. Yeah, it's been a while because of course, the coronavirus and everybody trying to make sure that they are acting appropriately and quarantining and so on and so forth.
Well, so it's been a little over a year since ACT and all the theaters went dark. So how have you been keeping yourself busy if you haven't had an artistic outlet?
Well, for the first few months, of course, we did quarantine and we, like everybody else, I guess we cleaned the house. And then I started cooking, and I was a gourmet cook for a number of months and got the quarantine 15 and ended up trying to get that so that it was off. And I explored other options to try and figure out what we could do. So we ended up doing a Zoom version of The Importance of Being Earnest. So for several months, that included auditioning people and then putting it all together.
Were you able to, since you were doing the Zoom version, were you able to identify things that might have been rough spots that you might have encountered at this rehearsal process? So you were able to iron out some things, identify things you might want to do differently, or is it just a completely different animal?
I think it's a different animal only because now I can see how they're going to look on stage, and it prepared me for staging.
So this is The Importance of Being Earnest, and if people aren't familiar with it, this is a classic show written by Oscar Wilde.
Yes.
Which is basically a turn of the century-ish. What time period? And this is the costume drawing room comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of Victorian, maybe.
Yes, it is a Victorian costumed show, and the Dowager Lady Bracknell is the kind of like the Queen of England. And then the other characters that fall into play, you kind of notice, you can say who they are, you can see who they are going to be. They're definitely the upper class of England. This is not, it's kind of almost like Downton Abbey, that type of
that gives
era.
people a place to kind of lock in a familiarity. Is this, obviously this is a comedy, but it's been around for decades and whatever, how many years it's been. How are people gonna kind of identify with something that's old and sounds like it could be stuffy?
Well, comedy is comedy, and there's still things to laugh at, whether it's an old comedy or a new comedy, and it's a mistaken identity. It's people that have no tolerance, and the tolerance that they lack ends up being part of the comedy. It's very many layers to it. However, it has some really funny bits to it.
Do you approach this kind of costume comedy any differently than you would if, say, you were directing something set in the modern era, or is it directing no matter what because it's comedy?
The way that the people present themselves and the way that they speak and their body language is different from what I would direct a comedy of today and present day, because they were also proper. And even though it's comedy, like I said, comedy is comedy. However, it is delivered differently because of the way everybody was so proper back then. So it has a little different spin to it.
So basically what you said before, a comedy of Downton Abbey aspects, the properness and, oh, I've been offended, is kind of,
yes.
I mean, I'm over dramatizing obviously for effect, but that's kind of what I think you're alluding to, that the properness is what gives it its absurdity.
Exactly. Yeah, the properness is absolutely is part of that comedy.
Well, I think that what I've heard about Importance of Being Earnest is very exciting for me. I can't wait to see the comedy of it on stage. And I do thank you for taking the time out of your vacation preparation to talk to me this morning. And yay! And guys, you can tune in the next time when we continue our series, The Corona Diaries, on stage at ACT. We will see you next time. Thanks.
Thanks, Stuart.
Yep.